Hello, everyone. This is Rick with the Cyber Pro podcast. Industry leaders share their insights. It'll be less than 9 minutes because hackers never sleep. So let's get right to it. Super excited to talk with you today. First question for you. Who are you and what do you do?
Oh, okay. My name's Paul Ashley. I'm a CTO of a company called Anonyme Labs, and we're a company that really focuses on digital identity and using that for both privacy and security reasons. So it's really focused on the identity side of security.
So what evolutions are you seeing in the cyber landscape that excite you?
I think it is around digital identities. I'm actually sitting in Las Vegas at the moment at a conference called Identiverse. There's about 2,000 people here that are focused on digital identity. And I think really the message that comes out of the conference is that digital identity is so important for cybersecurity these days. It's not just about, what we've seen in traditional cybersecurity. It's now thinking about the identity of the user, how you manage that, the life cycle of the user, and just all the new technologies that are coming around in the digital identity space.
So talk to me about digital identity. What is it? I think we understand it, right? Most of us are common sense or trained to know what it is. But for those people listening that aren't, what does digital identity mean to you?
Okay, to me, a digital identity is really a kind of a digital twin. And one thing I'd make a point at is more than one digital twin. So there's a lot of people out there who would say, all you need is one digital identity, go out on the world, do all your online interactions. And I'd argue that you actually need multiple digital identities because you need to be able to compartmentalize what you do online. So think about it as a digital twin. So there's the real Paul and there's multiple digital identities that I take out into the world and I use. A really good example is, I don't know if you've seen an application we build called MySudo. In there, you can create up to 9 different personas, right? 9 digital identities. The purpose of doing that is so that you can compartmentalize. So I'm on a trip at the moment. I'm from Australia, but I'm in Las Vegas for this conference. And so while I'm here, I'm using my travel pseudo or my travel digital identity. And the purpose is I can compartmentalize all that together. But then when I go and do some other part of my life, let's say I want to go and research healthcare, I go and use a different digital identity. So digital identity is really important, but I think that also the concept of having multiple digital identities where you can compartmentalize your life is really important as well. And there's a lot of new technologies and standards around this area, which I could talk about as well.
Now that's interesting. So actually, let's talk about that, right? Let's dig into that. What are some of the standards that we're seeing around that? Since this is exciting, right, for the consumer, probably for businesses as well. So what are some of those standards?
Well, I think the biggest evolution to me at the moment is this concept called decentralized identity. If you think about how the internet's worked, right, we've actually had a couple of phases of digital identity over the last 20 years. The first is centralized. And what that means is when you go up to a website, you go and create an account. And when you create the account, you create username, password, you give them a bunch of personal detail about you, and then you can interact with that account. That's called the centralized model. And has a lot of different privacy problems. For example, I have something like 200 accounts out there, all with different parts of my personal identity. The next phase we went through, which is probably more around about 2010, was this, what they call federation or social login. And we're all familiar with this. Log in with Google, log in with Meta, log in with LinkedIn. And that's a more convenient approach for the user so that I don't have to create so many accounts with passwords. But from a privacy point of view, it's even worse than a centralized point of view, because all you're really doing is giving a nice digital trail to someone like Google or Meta, whoever you're using as that identity provider, they would call it. Decentralized identity is this new concept, and it's been around probably for about 5 years. There's a lot of standards work, a lot of technology development here, but it's the decentralized approach is that the user has control of their identities and their personal data. And the concept is that a user has a wallet, a digital wallet, or maybe multiple wallets, and in there they hold their digital identity and they hold personal data, and they release it as they need to in different circumstances. And the whole aim really is to kind of minimize the amount of your personal data that's out there. And so it's a real fundamental change to the way we're working. It means that everyone's working with digital wallets. No longer do you log in with username passwords. You start to actually make connections. And under that connection, you start to share information. So that's a really important area, decentralized identity. And from that, there's a whole lot of standards and about 5 or 6 different standards groups that's building the kind of the baseline for that decentralized identity.
Paul, thanks for sharing that. I am curious because this is where I get to dig into educating myself. I've heard of digital wallets. I use one, but it's for blockchain. And so I don't think that's what you're talking about. So I'd love for you kind of to break that out.
But that's actually a great example because it actually isn't that technology, because we have these wallets which we use to say cryptocurrencies, right? At the end of the day, what those wallets are about is holding a private cryptographic key for you so that you can interact with your cryptocurrency on a blockchain. And you've got to have multiple currencies, and that wallet allows you to manage it. It's nothing slightly different to that, but it's very similar. In this thing, you create what's called a decentralized identifier, or a DID. Again, a DID is actually an identifier of yourself, and that identifier could be just in the wallet, or you may actually put that onto a blockchain as well. And in the same way of crypto wallets, in a very similar way, it's the private key that you hold that unlocks your digital identity or decentralized identity, which is used for that decentralized identity as you kind of working online. One thing that's different is there's this concept called verifiable credentials. And a verifiable credential is something that can be issued to you. So, for example, what we're seeing at the moment is plastic driver's license being replaced with digital driver's license. These digital driver's license follow those decentralized identity standards. And there's one from a standards organization called ISO. It's called MDL. And what happens is you create your DID in your wallet. It's got the private key. You provide that to them, and then they issue you a digital driver's license that's a verifiable credential. I'll explain why it's called that you can store in that wallet. And then you can present that driver's license wherever you need, whether online or in person. There's a couple of key concepts there. One is that this driver's license is kind of unhackable in that it's cryptographically protected. Whereas you can really create a fake driver's license, it's very hard to create a fake verifiable credential because it's signed by an issuer, which could be your local DMV, California DMV, Nevada DMV. They sign it. So when you're presenting it, somebody can check that it's been issued by that issuer, and they can also see that it's been unchanged because it's digitally signed. So no one can change it. They also have these other capabilities, one called selective disclosure. When you have a look at those applications that support mobile driver's license, it'll say to you, do you want to share all of your driver's license, or just prove that you're over 18 or over 21, or you just want to give some portions of it? That's what they call selective disclosure. Another thing is zero knowledge proofs. So what they allow you to do is to say, I want to go and buy some alcohol online. I want to prove I'm over 21, but I actually don't even want to give you my birthday. All I want to prove to you that I'm over 21. That's what you can do with a zero knowledge proof. And then you've also got another capability called revocation, which says that DMV can revoke your license. And when you go to present it, the verifier of that license knows that it's been revoked. So those digital credentials, which again get stored in your wallet with your identifier, really are a real powerful way of you kind of managing this personal data. So instead of presenting all of your driver's license, which gives away your home address and all those other things, I can really control what aspects of that driver's license I want to present.
I love it. This has been so fun to talk to you, but we do have to close it out. So the final fun question for you, and this is an easy one. What is your favorite piece of retro technology that makes you smile?
Oh, retro technology. It's easy. I think it's the fact that we've gone back to vinyl albums or records from the days. And there's nothing like, because I can remember when I was really young when there was vinyl records, and there's nothing like buying a vinyl record that has really great artwork on it, and you can see it and you can put it up on your wall and all that. And I feel like we've come right back to that again. So, it's great to be able to stream music and even get a DVD or something, but there's nothing like a full album with all the artwork to be able to put on your wall and kind of admire that. So I think that's probably my favorite piece at the moment.
I love it. I love the fact that they're actually, you can even buy the non-black vinyl, right? You get like the different colored vinyls that actually play.
Yeah, they're excellent. They're excellent. It's a whole different experience, I think.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for being on the Cyber Pro podcast.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and it's great talking to you, Rick.
Thank you for tuning into the Cyber Pro podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on new podcasts and all of our cool bonus content.